Thank you, Jackson. I so appreciate when the regularly scheduled singer. How about I use this one and we'll take down the other one? Good? Yeah. So what I started to say is I'm always grateful when I know Jackson isn't grateful, but I am when the artist has to back out or something happens, because then we get him. And you see what this guy can do in the spur of the moment. Wow, just wow. I've been in the movement a while, and part of what people discovered I was good at, and I discovered it for myself as well, is supporting ministers. Part of it is that I grew up around a ministry where the standards were pretty high. Also, a lot of ministers put a lot of work into me, and I'm grateful for it, so I owe them. So, over time, I came to observe that often the day of a talk, the talk that you wrote, isn't the talk you give. And lo and behold, at about 8 o'clock last night, same deal. So I'm going to just take a few seconds and review the last time I was up here, because there were really just 4 basic points. We have 4 choices, ultimate choices. And that is God or the ego, love or fear, justified or healed, right or happy, right? When you boil it all down, that's what it kind of comes to. And this one was kind of a continuation of, there are only 4 don'ts in the whole wide world. Now that might sound like an interesting idea. Only 4? I don't know about you, but when I was a teenager, I heard 4 an hour. And they are, don't compare, don't project, don't keep score, and don't build a case against yourself or anybody else. Now, you're not going to get those this week. But I'm told that they'll probably let me back. So that's what it'll be this time, because Home Office puts out talk titles that are suggested for every week of the year. And I didn't look at mine all the time I was looking at all of this. And you know what the talk title is for this week? The View from Here. I couldn't put those 2 together. So you get the view from here, and a lot of this is going to be personal opinion and personal experience. And so I invite you to put a mental garbage can by your chair. And anything that comes out of my mouth that just doesn't seem to work for you right now, maybe it will later, maybe never, maybe it never did, or maybe it's just right, who knows? Because we're all on this journey of change. I mean, you want some lively discussions, ask people, what is God? Oh. You want some more lively discussions? Ask people, what is love? And in the kosher tradition that I grew up in, discussions like that were all the time, and they would lead very often to arguments, and then from arguments, maybe even a war, because we were, by our culture, so stuck to our opinions and our experiences, and change was hard. And change really is hard. Give you an example, again, from my own life. Did you ever spill your milk when you were a kid? More than once? Well, don't tell me why or how, but in my family, spilling your milk was the equivalent of a mortal sin. And I was, big boys don't spill their milk. Spill your milk, Bill, pay attention. It was spilling your milk, that's bad. Milk's expensive. I don't know. But, I developed this thought about it, and it got planted, I think, somewhere around the age of 4, maybe 3, because we knew language at 3, didn't we? Well, if I spilled my milk 2 months ago at our table in Sedona, inside of me would come up. Anybody here have an experience of a similar thought that was planted way back when? Or maybe even last week? And it comes back up and there it is. That's what the teaching is about. Change your thinking, change your mind, change your life. However, the other good thing that's going on is over time we had people in our lives that were our teachers, that were our way showers, that parented us for better or for worse based on what they knew, because we all know that young'uns don't come with an instruction manual, and so everybody in many ways was on their own. And most of us that found our way to this particular community in Prescott learned some remarkable skill sets. They developed not only what the jargon calls the world of effects, where you're doing stuff, being a human doing, but we're also talking about a beingness, which is kind of another way of describing spirit. Describing that thing that's inside of us, that when some impossible question comes up in your mind that a child asked you or somebody asked you, and all of a sudden you closed your eyes and you went, oh, what do I, and then the right answer came out. That's spirit. That's something that got planted. And the more we're around this stuff, the more it just shows up. And then we're out there in the world being a human doing. Maybe we're driving somewhere and somebody does something, or we lose it. We just lose it. There are practitioners in this room. And I'm going to, and you guys don't know that I was going to do this. I just thought of it. If you are a practitioner, either current or inactive, or have been a practitioner anywhere else around here, would you just raise your hand for just a minute so people can see how many of us there are? Okay? Now, is there practitioners are also told to be self-honest. Is there anybody here who in the last month or so hasn't been out there in the world and lost it? We need to talk, because I need to work with you. I'm delighted. Please introduce yourself later. We'll get great value for each other. And here's what I want to speak and why I want to bring this home. We can't be in this room and 24/7. Life happens. Reminders happen. So somewhere out there, all of us have found something we can go to, or at least, and I call it spiritual practice, that sooner or later, and really sooner, will get us out of whatever it is that's freaking us out. Something happened around the milk thing. 2 days later, I was with another small group of people here, and somebody, and I noticed they're sitting in this room, came up to me and gave me a little piece of paper with a quote on it from a kid, and that it was, "You know what? We spill our milk." And for whatever reason, from the age of 4, and right now I'm in my 80th year, and I know I don't always look like I'm in my 80th year, and I will tell you that if you're only here for vanity, this stuff youthens you, I promise. We have a number of walking, talking, living, breathing examples of that in this room, and I'm looking at one of them. So if that's all you want, stick around. Anyway, one thing that has worked for me, and I'm going to encourage you, and this is part of my view from here, it's this magazine. When I realized that the talk that I was writing wasn't going to be given, then I said, now what? Because it was less than 12 hours or 24 hours from now, or to now. And I went to something called the plop theory of my go-to thing. Because it's the middle of the night, and I don't call practitioners my colleagues in the middle of the night unless I'm on fire. So I want to read to you the plop theory from, and we've got Science of Mind magazines in our house that date back about 4, 5, 6 years. And Penny has finally said, are we going to really read all of these again? And we're losing space, so we have to do something with them. I brought a few in. If you want any more, there's usually some out there. If you want any more, I'll bring a carton next week. But what I'm really encouraging you to do is to get a subscription to that magazine, one way or another, or buy it every week, or get to it. Let me tell you what came up. And what I did is I reached into a drawer, I reached down into a pile, pulled something out from the middle of the pile. It was August of 20. Falling down and getting up. When one door closes, another opens. But we so often look so long and so regretfully upon the closed door that we do not see the ones which open for us. Alexander Graham Bell. And from Holmes, life will be to you what you are to it. One of the few times that Ernest was simpler and used fewer words than the other person in the quote. So there's a story about a young man who visits a monastery and asks one of the monks what they do all day. The monk responds, we fall and get up, and fall and get up, fall and get up. It's not how many times you fall that matters, it's how many times you get up. A Zen koan says, and I didn't know, K-O-A-N, you think you know a lot? I did not even see that word until about 6 months ago, or understand it. A Zen koan says, a truly enlightened person falls into a well. How is this so? Over the years, I've had many students offer some fascinating answers to this koan. My own take on it is this. No matter how far along we are in our spiritual path, we all make mistakes. The secret is to continually rise and begin anew. Helps me to remember that Spirit is on my side. There are no hurdles to jump over except the ones I create. Albert Einstein once said, the single most important question we can ask is this a friendly universe? A friendly place? He answered in the affirmative. God only wants good for us. Our job is to turn from whatever we created that causes us pain to that which is whole, perfect, and complete. It's not always easy to do, but it is doable with time, patience, and practice. Today I turn from any situation that causes me discomfort or pain and remember that the spirit within is always available for guidance and support. I move forward with peace and confidence. That was enough. That was enough for me to remember and say, God, you got this, because I don't. So, what I'm going to invite you to do and think about for maybe just a moment is that this thing called community that we have was really, really rocking and rolling up to about, 18 months ago when it hit the fan? And all of these changes came about, and suddenly there was this feeling of freedom lost. We had to stay inside, we had to wear masks, we had to vaccinate, not vaccinate. We had to fight. A lot of us had to fight about it. A lot of us said, is it real? People were telling it was, it wasn't. You're gonna die, you're not gonna die, kids don't get it, all that various stuff. And somehow, we most of us were told and kind of knew way down there that this came to pass. It didn't come to stay, but it sure did feel like it isn't passing. When's it going to pass? Does this thing really have a beginning and a middle and an end? But in fact, we're even worldwide, we are on the downside. We're starting to see, like the phoenix rise through all of that smoke and ash and shake it off and begin to be together again and in community again and to be breaking bread again. Something about this particular community that is where two or more are gathered, we eat. And it just kind of is that way even with families that eat together. Something we've gotten away from, a lot of us, some of it by choice, some by necessity. And Thanksgiving's coming, and I don't know if it was spoken of today, but it was last week. We've decided we're going to do Thanksgiving again. And it's interesting because I'm watching the room fill up a little bit more and more and more every week, and that's cool. But we still have the precautions that we need to deal with. And we still have things that constrain it. We just can't say, oh, it's going to cost us a few $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, whatever. We'll just write a check and it'll be fine. And because the contributions, just haven't kept up sometimes because people, for very good reason in most cases, and for the fact that people are falling away and coming back, we don't pass a basket anymore, and it's easier to just walk by a box and instead of put something in as the thing goes by. Who knows? But we decided that it was really important to be able to be safe and to feed and to do some kind of a family gathering. And there weren't more than 30 people in the room at that board meeting, maybe 20, 25. A couple of people here know. And so just for the heck of it, we passed the hat. What was it, $430 that came in, something like that? So obviously we need it, and that's sure going to cover dinner for a lot of people. And you guys don't have to bring, we don't have to worry, where's this food been, you know, this kind of thing. That's what we mean by family. That's what we mean by getting together and talking with each other. And also, in some of the turmoil we've seen go on around here, we were, at least I was, and other parts of leadership have been mystified by, gee, did we do something wrong? Where were we not maybe fully living up to those 4 values of spiritual growth and love and diversity, inclusivity, and I forgot and joy. That's true, joy. Yeah, that's one of. I'm Mr. Serious and Significant, so I remember joy last, and that's just my stuff. And then, what occurred to me was, we're not talking to each other as much as we used to. We're not connecting with each other energetically as much as we used to. And I'm going to suggest that something that we're going to try and practice literally in this room later today as we come to the end of the service to bring that back. And when I say talking with each other, it's not intellectual conversation saying this is bad, this is good, having to convince somebody else that this is the one true set of stone tablets out there. Too much of that going on. It's to just have a conversation where we can speak at the heart level rather than at the intellectual level. And I know that used to be happening out in that hall an awful lot before COVID hit, and a little bit less now. And so I'm looking for ideas, a way to have gatherings of us that will allow that to happen. It doesn't take, it doesn't have to be led by a minister or a practitioner, just somebody who likes to chat. And there are things like that going on right now. Maybe you guys have heard of the Spiritual Enrichment Group, also known as the Book Club. The Sharers started that, Dave and Sue. Oh, we miss Dave. Everybody misses Dave. And it started out with 5 or 6 or 7 people and reading a book, literally a page at a time, and commenting on it. And it was done out in Sibley Hall. And you know that thing grew to over 30 people in Sibley Hall. 30 people. And then I learned after it had been there about maybe a year at that level, a third of those people didn't even come to the church on Sunday. They were there for the conversation, for the chat, for the expansion, for the uplifting, to have a statement and then have, how various people were interpreting it and saying, boy, I could use that. Oh, it doesn't work for me, but boy, I can sure use that. There's something else going on right now. And that is, and I forgot what the name is. Help me with this, Chris, the circle. Science of Mind, what, please? Oh, yeah, the Science of Mind magazine study. Okay, and that was only done online. Chris, would you stand up, please? I just want people to look at you and see who you are. Chris is also on our board of trustees. And she's been doing this now for 6 or 7 or 8 months. And what I have noticed, and we had a conversation about it a few weeks ago, this has become a group of people that are 5 or 6 or 7 deep, and they're looking forward to it. And then people drop in, they drop out, whatever. But all of a sudden, these people are getting to know each other that would not have gotten to know each other otherwise. And so, getting back to the spiritual enrichment group, leadership went to Dave and Sue and said, well, you know, when a group gets to be above 10 or 12 or so, it's time to kind of split it off and start another one at another time. And they looked and said, no, no, we like this too much. We are enjoying being around the 30 of us too much. And so leadership said, okay, it's yours. Obviously it's working. So size isn't the issue here. It's that people are getting together. What I envision, I'm going to use the word politics. There is over in Sedona, the people all the offices there are nonpartisan. They may be Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and that all has different philosophy attached to it. The town itself is fairly divided with opinions, and they will have, because I live in Sedona, we will have strong opinions over everything. What color the grass should be. When we put lights in for the dark skies, a third of the people said, we don't want lights in here, we like our dark skies. A third of the people said, yeah, but people are getting killed. Yeah, but are locals getting killed? No. We actually heard that argument. Well, then the lights went in. And I have a business in Sedona where if I took a position on those lights in any way, shape, or form, I would have lost 20 to 30% of my customers. That's how strongly it is. There's something wrong with that. So there's a psychologist over there his mission is to get people talking. And he has. And things have shifted. And am I happy? So I'm looking at the clock. I'm also looking at somebody with a hook. So I'm going to tell you about what an example of living this stuff is going to be in terms of a prayer, normally at the end of a talk, and this is a good place to stop. I would be going into prayer, and then we're going to be going into the next phase of what we do. And as I was looking around, Tracy Brown, who is she's a practitioner of many years standing. She also led our retreat for the practitioners last year. And she posted a prayer on Thursday night or Friday. And that prayer seemed to me to be so apropos of what we're about or becoming that I asked that it be turned into a slide, and I'm going to read it, and you can read it along with me. And then I will end with a very short declaration, and then we'll move into the next phase. So, I don't appear, I did this last time. There we are. I want to be sure that it's up there. Yes. Okay. Say this with me if you care to. There is one reality. It is life itself, birthing love, beauty, joy, and peace in all it creates. I am an example of this one reality. My life is love, beauty, joy, and peace. I speak this word, knowing my understanding of this truth is just the first step. The proof of this truth is in my words and actions. The evidence of this truth is in my daily experiences. The demonstration of these qualities validates spirits present in physical form as me. I'm grateful to be spiritual realization. I'm grateful to see beyond intellectual persuasion. I'm grateful to be an example of what's possible. So I am planting my belief in the soil of goodness and letting it grow. I am spiritual law and action, and I declare we are, each and every one of us in this very room, where the power of love always supersedes the love of power. We are examples of what is possible, and each of us will remember by the close of this day some specific example of an expertise, of spirit working through us, that we may do some part to make a difference. You'll see a quote at the bottom: one person can make a difference, and everyone should try. John F. Kennedy. For that reality of your life, my life, the life of this center, and for each one of us that has any investment whatever in it, I simply release these words into God's universe and spiritual law. Relax, knowing that it is indeed a work in process that can only lead even closer to that global vision of a world that works for everyone. My word never returns to me void, and so I can look forward to the examples even as they unfold from this moment forward, while we lift ourselves up out of the ashes, shake off the smoke and ash, and live like we have never lived in the last several years. Thank you, life. Thank you, God. And so it is.